want to
Great.
be mindful of everybody's time here and say welcome to everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. We are very pleased to have Mark Arnold joining us. Mark is an expert in branding, training, and strategic marketing for credit unions, where he helps them achieve their goals with insight and energized training. He's the president of On the Mark Strategies, a consulting firm specializing in branding and strategic planning, and has worked with financial institutions ranging in size from 32 million to 7.5 billion. Mark speaks regularly to audiences around the country on branding, marketing, strategy, leadership, personal growth, and generational issues. He's an accomplished author. He's won numerous national communication and marketing awards as an instructor at America's Credit Unions Management Marketing Schools. It was actually at one of those credit union certified marketing executive trainings where I met Mark for the first time. It was actually 2018, I think it was. So it was a number of years ago. But all I can say is I still look back on his notes, so I cannot speak highly enough of the content you're about to hear, what an amazing person Mark is. And I hope everyone comes away today with some great information. So I will hand it right over to you, Mark. And one last thing, I am recording this session for everybody who's registered. So at the end of this, I will be sending a link, private YouTube link to everyone so that it's not available to the public, but it will be available for you to review again later down the road. So take it away, Mark.
Thank you so much. You read that intro just like my mother wrote it. Thank you so much. That's great. Well, welcome everyone, and thank you guys for spending part of your lunch hour discussing marketing audits and how we can better improve our marketing. I think back several years ago when I was a marketing coordinator, I actually spelled the CEO's name wrong in the member newsletter, right? That'll get you fired, because sometimes in marketing, right, we all make mistakes. We do some things we shouldn't do, right, accidentally. I know one credit union that actually sent an email out to their members, and they did not proof the email ahead of time quite like they should, and they transposed a couple of letters on the link to their website, and it took their members to a porn site, right? So yes, we've all done mistakes like that. So I want to start off just by asking a quick question in the chat section. What's one of the big oops you've made in marketing? We've all done them, right? Just type in the chat section. You want to share an oops you've made in marketing from time to time? We've all done them. I've done plenty of them myself. Just type in the chat section. What's a oops, I didn't mean to do that, and it happened, right? Anyone have a good story to tell on that as we get started? The wrong dates. Yep. Love it. Quoted a fabulous incorrect. Oh, yes. The incorrect interest rate. Oh, yes. Guilty as charged. Yes, I've done that as well. Yes, exactly. Send a text message to the actual recipients. There you go, Tim. Yep. Very good example. Great. You can't be in marketing and not make some of those classic mistakes. I created a handout and forgot the logo. Excellent. The logo error. Yes. Spelling error on an electronic sign. For a full day. Lasted for a while. That's good. I love it. Let's see here. We've got here the auditor's return address didn't print out. Yep. Those are all good ones. Great examples, right? Again, you can't be in marketing and not make some proofreading errors from time to time. Now, this session is not going to be about proofing and editing your mistakes you've made, but it is going to be about how can we review our marketing from a marketing assessment or marketing audit standpoint to improve our credit union. Because if you improve marketing, you improve the entire credit union. And one of the best ways to improve your marketing is to do a marketing audit or a marketing assessment. So with that, we're going to get started and look at a couple of different aspects of this today. We're going to first of all talk about what a marketing audit is and why you need one. We'll also discuss the pros and cons of doing a market audit yourself. There are pros and cons. We'll talk through that. And by the way, I'll throw out the word audit and assessment kind of interchangeably, kind of about the same thing. And then the key elements of a marketing audit. And lastly, how to conduct an effective marketing audit yourself. Those will be the four aspects we'll cover this afternoon. As you work through this, obviously you'll see the PowerPoint, you'll have the recording, but also don't worry, I get to record every single thing we say or note on the PowerPoint. Also at the end, we'll also give you a way to be able to download the PDF version of the PowerPoint. So don't feel like if you miss a slide or two, don't worry about that. We'll be able to send that as a bonus at the end as well. So with that, let's get started. right? With what is a marketing audit and why do you even need one? First of all, what it is and why you need one. Well, look at this. A marketing audit, what is it? It's an objective review of everything you do to market your credit union. Again, we said earlier, marketing touches everything. We want to be able to make sure we grow the credit union by growing the marketing area. Simply asking the questions, what's working well and what's not working well, will enhance our marketing. We'll walk through some questions that you want to do. One of the best things you can do for your credit union is to conduct a marketing audit. And the top performing credit unions regularly audit that on a regular basis. So you look at some key questions we'll get to in just a minute. One of the things I want to dispel right off the bat is a marketing audit. You hear that word audit is thrown out there, right? We audit everything in credit unions, right? We hardly ever audit the most important aspect of credit unions, which is marketing. Now, when I talk marketing audit, it doesn't mean is NCUA's logo on everything? No, that's a compliance audit. We're talking more about, what's working, what's not working, what are your strategies, what are your tactics. That's what we mean by a marketing audit, not about NCUA's logo. So as you think through that, when we look at, whoops, kind of going crazy there. There we go. You look at what is working and what is not working. The reality is we all have blind spots, right? We all have blind spots as an organization, and we need to be aware of that. What are those blind spots? This is something called the Johari window, right? The Johari window. It's a concept of blind spots. Every credit union has blind spots. And as you look up there, you'll see here, there are 4 quadrants. In the upper left-hand quadrant, there are things that others don't, and that others don't. Those are obvious. Everybody knows that. What you know, what others don't know. Then there's some things others don't. That's some internal knowledge. How to calculate debt income ratios, financial education. You guys know a lot of that. That's internal knowledge that most consumers don't. That bottom right-hand quadrant, those are things you don't know and no one knows. That's the great unknown. What's going to happen with interest rates and the economy? No one truly knows. But here's the key is that upper right-hand quadrant. And that's what we call your blind spots. These are things you don't know, but others do. There are some things about your marketing that maybe you have blind spots to. We need to be aware of what those are. We need a fresh lens on our marketing. And that's what a marketing audit or a marketing assessment will do. One of the best things you can do is to do that marketing assessment, to look at your blind spots, to be able to hide in on that and adjust it. Here's an example. A credit union recently, they were concerned about their finances, and their finances honestly were a train wreck financially. And so what's one of the very first things they did? Well, we need to cut our marketing. And they did that. And the challenge was actually that was probably the worst thing they could have done, because while it gave them short temporary financial help, long-term, what happened was no one knew about the credit union. They lost that awareness. And as a result, they're really struggling even more financially. They were kind of blind to that aspect of that. Marketing touches everything from the boardroom to the break room to the bathroom. Marketing touches everything. And so you need to be aware of where your blind spots are to be able to do that. Some credit unions feel like right now, hey, we have a liquidity challenge. We have a liquidity problem. We need deposits. It may not be a liquidity deposit or loan problem you have. You may have a marketing challenge on your hands. And this is what will help with that. Here's, as you think about that, I like what's quote from John Maxwell. He says, the pessimist complains about the wind. The optimist expects it to change. The leader adjusts the sails. The point of that is you need to adjust your marketing from time to time. You need to adjust it. And that's what a marketing assessment and a market audit will help you do is where do we need to adjust our marketing sales? And that's what a marketing audit will do for you. Here's a quote from one of our clients we helped recently last year. They were kind of stuck. They were trying to grow into new markets. They were in a growth-oriented mode. And they realized we weren't sure if their current messaging was going to work with new audiences. So we came in and did a marketing assessment and audit for them. And this is what their CEO said after the audit. And when she said it floored me, she said, we have learned to glance at our competitors and glare at ourselves. And that's so true. One of the best ways we can improve our marketing is really to glare at ourselves and see where can we improve in our marketing. So there are 4 key questions a marketing audit will answer for you. What are we doing, right? What exactly are we doing? Are we getting the best out of our marketing? What are we actually doing in this area? And really focus in on that question. What are we doing? Also, what's working? There are a lot of things in your marketing that's going very, very well. And we need to assess that also, right? So they can continue the things that are working, right? A good marketing audit will tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? But it really will focus on what is working as you think through. I like what John Anderson says. He says this, quote, find what you're good at without trying, then try. Part of a marketing assessment, hey, what are we really good at? And let's leverage that. And we want to be able to do that. It's a classic Pareto principle, right? More than likely, you're getting 80% of your results from 20% of what's really working. And so you need to know what is that 20% that's really being effective and leverage that. So I'm going to pause here, stop the share for a minute, come back to the great Brady Bunch look here, and ask a question here. What's working well? Type in the chat section, what are some things that you think in your marketing that you're doing really, really well? Take a minute and kind of jot in there. What are some things you're doing well? Just get some examples here. What are some things in your area that's doing well? Some things you're proud of. Feel free just to type in the little chat section. Oh, I like this from Betsy, word of mouth, right? Engaging with people at community events. That's a great one. Love it. Community partnerships from Evergreen. Excellent. Regular email blast to members. Excellent. Okay, I'm going to push back on the one that said regular email blast. Can you define regular for us? So I'm curious, what's your style? What is your cadence there on the regular? Is that weekly, monthly? I'm just curious. That's a really good tip. I like that. Website conversion rates, at least weekly. Okay, good. That's a good definition. Thank you for clarifying that. A lot of good things we're doing there. And that's what a marketing assessment will do. We'll really look to say, okay, what is working? What is not working? You need to know both of those areas as well. Also, third question. What's not working, right? What is not working? You need to know, right? What is working? And then also what is not working out there. Here's a key concept. What got you to your current size today is not going to get you to the next level. Okay, so if you're a $100 million credit union, the marketing tactics that got you to 100 million will not get you to 200. Okay, and if you're a $250 million credit union, what got you to 250 is not going to get you to 500. You're going to have to do some different things. You need to find out what is not working as well. Here's an example. We were working with a credit union in the southwestern part of the country a couple of years ago, and their marketing person, the way it was designed is she was doing both marketing and business development, wearing multiple hats. We really, as we looked at the assessment, her strength really was on the BD side. And so as a result, we came in and said, honestly, you probably need a partner to help you create your marketing messages, create your graphic, do all that stuff so that you can be the boots on the ground. When they made that adjustment, because it wasn't working for them, then their growth really took off. And so that's an idea. You need to find out what is working and what is not working. Maybe it's your messaging that's not working. Is your messaging resonating with that? You got to make sure your messaging is working. Maybe it's your strategy that's not working. You know, do you have a strong brand? Maybe it's not working either. You got to be able to identify, is it your messaging? Is it your strategy? Where are you missing? Right? What is not working? You know, as an example, a marketing calendar is not a marketing strategy. Those are two different things. Sometimes we blend those together. So maybe that's not working for you. You've got to be able to know what's not working. So we asked you just a minute ago what's working. Now let's pause here. Let's go back to the screen here and share that. Where are some of your marketing challenges now? Where maybe what's not working, or where are some of your misses? Take a minute. What are some of your challenges in marketing? What's not working for you? Or what do you wish was doing better or performing better? Take a minute and jot in there. Where are some of the challenges you're facing? Because we all have them, right? Open rates on emails. Oh, that's a good one. Yep. Those get lower and lower industry-wise, right? Sounds are always so much competition. Yes, that's a great one. Yes, just so much competition. Social media engagement. Shelby, I will tell you, we see that consistently. Is a lot of us are putting out messages on social media and no one's engaging with us, right? So that's really, are we really being effective? That's a really good one. Unless, of course, you post cat videos and everybody engages with those, right? So you get the idea. Okay, good examples. We need to know what's working, what's not working. That's a part of a marketing audit, right? Fourth question you want to look at then is, this is the critical one. What do we need to do different? What do we need to do different? Those are the 4 questions. What are we doing? What's working? What's not working? And what do we need to do different? There are things you need to do different. Sometimes the biggest threats to your credit union come from within. Yes, there's a ton of competition out there right now, but some of the greatest competition actually is from within, right? As you think through that. And this is why you need, what do we need to do different? Because again, we've got to do marketing because marketing is changing at an incredibly rapid pace, right? Just think 3 years ago. Just 3 years ago, think about it. This is why you need to do marketing about at least every 3 years. 3 years ago, Twitter was still called Twitter, right? 3 years ago, right? 3 years ago, we could not imagine the social media landscape without Instagram. Yet now we're seeing that people are complaining Instagram is too much like Facebook, and TikTok is picking up influence, and Instagram's struggling a little bit. 3 years ago, AI was just kind of a little bit of a rumbling, and now AI is dominating marketing. So you think about it, just in 3 short years, the marketing landscape has changed drastically. So you got to be like, hey, what do we need to do different, right? As you think of it, I love the quote, classic quote from John Wanamaker. He says this quote, "I know half my advertising dollars are wasted. I just don't know which half." That's what a strong marketing assessment or a strong marketing audit will do, is where is your ROI? What is your ROI in marketing? Be able to determine that. It'll allow you to maximize your ROI. So that's a key aspect of marketing, is being able to answer those questions and think of it from that perspective, right? So that's kind of the overall marketing audit and kind of what it is and what's involved in that. So now we want to look secondly at the pros and the cons of doing the marketing audit yourself. And there are pros and cons. You can absolutely do the marketing audit yourself. We're going to give you tips and tactics on how to do it yourself. But there are pros and cons of that. And let's kind of walk through that, because sometimes it's helpful also to have someone else do the marketing assessment audit. Let's look at the pros and cons. The pro, you know your marketing better than anyone. I mean, you live it, you breathe it, right? You wake up every day thinking about it. So you know that. You know where the dead bodies are, right? You know it better than anybody else. And so from that perspective, that's a definite pro. No one's going to know it better than you. The con, you're closer to your marketing than anyone else, right? That's a con as well. Going back to blind spots, sometimes we are so close to our marketing, we can't see it for its own best or worst efforts. We're just too close to it, right? So you need to be able to do that. That's again, a plus of maybe having someone from the outside look at it, is you're going to get a fresh set of eyes onto your marketing to really be able to do that. So it's a pro and a con as well. All right, another pro is it's a smaller investment. If you do it yourself, it's definitely not going to cost you near as much. It's going to cost you anything if you do it yourself. It's a smaller investment, so that's a good thing. If you're on a tight budget, you can do a marketing assessment, or maybe do a marketing audit yourself. The con, it's a smaller investment, right? Which means sometimes you get what you pay for, right? So if you're doing it yourself and it's free, maybe that's not going to have as much value. Or conversely, maybe it won't get the weight that you need from an outside perspective, right? Sometimes there are some things someone from the outside can say to your directors or your management team that you've been saying for years. But all of a sudden, when someone from the outside says it, it's, oh yeah, that's true, right? And you've been saying it for years, right? Sometimes having that outside perspective and outside voice helps. Here's an example. One of our clients is Tarrant County's credit union. You see up there on the left-hand side, kind of an older version of their logo. So for years, the management team knew that logo was outdated. They wanted to change it. Their board was not a fan of change logo. They loved the logo. It was old school. Their board was a little bit older, and they just loved the logo. They knew they needed to change the logo, but board was against. So we went in and did a marketing assessment. And one of our major findings in the marketing assessment was that, guess what? Your logo's old. It's outdated. It's not forward enough. You need to really modify and change it. Well, once we made that presentation to the board, all of a sudden they was like, yeah, you're right. We need to change the logo. And they voted to change the logo. And then they wind up modifying the logo, right? Even though the management have been saying it for years and marketing people have been saying it for years, the fact that someone from the outside kind of gave that perspective, it lent credence to that, right? So sometimes that helps. It's, again, a pro-con issue. Another pro of doing the marketing audit yourself is you have the context to your marketing decisions. That's a definite pro, right? Marketing does not exist in a vacuum. Marketing doesn't exist in a vacuum. As I said earlier, marketing touches everything. And so you know why you made the certain strategic decisions you made, because again, you know it best. And there are countless factors that can impact the different marketing decisions you have. So that's a pro, is you've got the full context. You know exactly what your ALM needs are at your credit union. You know the strategic plan at your credit union. So that's a pro. You know that. That's a definite plus. You also sometimes can see the bigger picture that maybe others can't. So that's a pro. The con, though, is that you may be able to kind of explain away key marketing decisions, because at the end of the day, sometimes that outside perspective will give you that little push and nudge that you needed. We tell our clients all the time, we're going to be your frenemy. We're going to love you like a friend, but we're going to challenge you like an enemy. We might push you and challenge you. That's on purpose, right? As you kind of think through that. So now I'm going to pause here. We're going to go back to the screen share, get some audience participation. I'm going to ask you a question here. I want to think about your own marketing right now. Let's just do a quick, just gut level, just gut take on your marketing. On a scale of 1, your marketing is unbelievably ineffective, to 10, your marketing is crushing it. I mean, you're just crushing it in marketing. Where do you think your marketing is right now? What does your gut tell you? And you can't say 5. No fence sitters allowed. Ready, set, go. Just use a chat section. Plug in your number. Where are you today? What do you think it is? What does your gut tell you? Evergreen says 8. Awesome, Evergreen. Just plug in there. What do you think it is? What does your gut tell you? Perfect. County's a 7. Kylie's a 7. We're a 7. Lots of 7s. Great. Oh, I love Kurt from Peoples. I love it. 8.25. There's always one in the crowd, right? 8.25. I love it. That's great. All right. I'm going to pull off. Let's go to Evergreen. From you're the first to respond. I love that. You said 8. Do you mind to type in the chat section and say why you said that, or unmute yourself, either way? I would love to hear what is working. Why did you say 8? What led to that answer? That's a good answer, by the way. Feel free to type in the chat or unmute yourself. I'm curious, what is it about you thought that warranted that score? Good comment. See if they have time to chat in there. What led to that answer, if you don't mind? Strong answer. We'll wait just a few more minutes, see if they have time to type in the chat section there, or feel free to unmute yourself and answer. Oh, here we go. Membership growth numbers and annual commentary from members and non-members. Good. Well, first of all, if you're having membership growth, then you're obviously doing something right in marketing. There's so many credit unions. That's a major pain point today, is member growth. The fact that you are seeing member growth, that's great. And I love that, again, the annual commentary from members and non-members. That's a good way, a good sign. What's the community saying about you? So that's a really good answer. Thank you for jumping in there. Good. So again, that's just a really quick way to do that. Kind of get a feel of what does your gut tell you right now about your marketing. All right. So now let's walk through what are the key elements of a marketing audit. What are the key elements of that? We're going to walk you through several different elements now, about 8, 9, or 10 real quickly, kind of what are parts. First of all, we said, what are you doing well? That's not just a question you ask. It needs to be in your final report, right, of what you're doing well. This is kind of what we call the pat yourself on the back phase, right? You do want to start there. And we start all of our assessments. Hey, what are you doing well? Do that and look at that. It's okay to toot your own horn. It's okay to say, hey, here's where we're having some success, right? This is part of that. This is one reason why sometimes the outside third party is very helpful, because then you know it's unbiased, right? When you do the marketing out yourself, they might say, oh, you're just biased when you say that. But you do want an element of your final report. It should be something about, hey, what are we doing well? Where are we hitting on? That's an absolute part of your marketing assessment. Second part, or second component of a marketing audit or assessment are your competitor analysis. Someone mentioned earlier, one of the biggest challenges is their competition. It's unbelievably how competitive we are today in financial services, right? It's just unbelievable. It's like going down the cereal aisle these days. It seems like there's so many options for us. Now, on your competitor analysis, we recommend a couple of things. Pick about 4 different competitors that you feel like you're losing business to. And one tip is we don't recommend necessarily that your competitor analysis should include the big banks, the Bank of Americas, the Wells Fargos, and things like that, because they're all kind of the same from that perspective. So, and they're not like you. Pick competitors that might be more locally oriented, more like you, that you really are losing business to. Then on your competitor analysis, you want to go to their websites and look to see what is their brand promise, what is their messaging, what's their visual look, what's their brand profile. All of that should entail your competitor analysis. Again, their brand promise, their messaging, their visuals, their brand, their profiles, and things like that. So why do you want to do that? Because you want to be different from your competitor. That's an important aspect of that. Another aspect of competitor analysis is to do mystery shops. When we work with our clients, one of the best things they sometimes like about the marketing audit is we will mystery shop their crate and their top 4 competitors, because it identifies gaps. We all have gaps. We have strategic gaps. We have marketing gaps. We have service gaps. And competitive mystery shops will help you identify where are your gaps compared to your competitors, right? And where do you stack up? That's a huge part of the competitor analysis. Let me give you an example. One of our clients we were working with recently, they're in the East Texas area, and they were competing. Their marketing language, as we were looking at their whole marketing side of stuff, was, hey, we're a small town, we're in East Texas, we're local. That was kind of how they were doing their marketing. Well, then we began to look at their top competitors, and guess what? Their top competitors were saying, we're in East Texas, we're hometown, we're rural. They were all saying the same thing, right? And so we had to come back and say, you know what, you really need to modify that. So as we began to talk to their members and survey their members, this theme of family kept coming up over and over again. So we made a massive shift in their marketing to move away from local, because we think, hey, that's a great differentiator. The reality, every one of their competitors were saying local. We switched their messaging and their visuals to more family oriented, and then their growth took off because they were different than their competitors. That's why competitor analysis is a key part of a marketing audit, because you can't be like everybody else. Too many times we're just like everybody else. So many financial institutions are saying, hey, what makes you different? It's service, or it's local, whatever it is. You've got to be different. So a part of your marketing audit and assessment needs to be a competitor analysis as well. Third part of your marketing audit needs to be your collateral audit. You need to look at your pieces, right, and say, what does it look like, right? What is the graphics of them? And let me kind of give you some examples. So these are elements to assess when reviewing your marketing collateral. There's different aspects of this. You want to look at your copy. What's your copy like? What is your messaging like? I can pretty much guarantee you, after doing hundreds of marketing audits across the country of credit unions, you need to cut the copy. We say that to almost everybody, cut the copy. People aren't reading their watches, which we'll get to that in a minute. But the idea is you're probably saying way too much, but look at your copy. Does it connect with your members? Are you saying too much? Are you using bullets? What is your copy looking like? Are you saying the exact same things, or is your copy messaging different? What does your copy look like? You need to look at that in your collateral review. In your collateral, you also need to look at your graphics. What is your graphic element? What is the feel? Is there emotion in it? Are you just using stock photography on everything? Or are you using maybe your own members in your graphics? Does your logo look good? We'll get to that in a few minutes as well. Your collateral also needs to look, again, is there emotion? And do you bring emotion into your graphics as well? So also, as you look at that, you need to do a website audit. That's also a huge part. So there's collateral aspects, but then there's also the website audit itself. And what do I mean by that? Well, does your website pass what we call the caveman test? What's the caveman test? In 3 seconds, does your website communicate what you offer, why your members need it, and how to get it, what you offer, why they need it, and how they get it in 3 seconds. That's called the caveman test. And does your website pass that as well? Here are some elements to look at specifically on your website. Number one, the user experience. We call that the UX, or the user experience. How easy is it to apply for a loan at your credit union? How easy is it to get a membership? How many taps on your phone does it take? And by the website, I'm also talking digital as well, right? What's the user experience like? That needs to be a huge aspect of your website audit. Your website can look beautiful, but if it doesn't do anything, it's going to be a challenge. Here's a key stat to think about. 75% of your credibility is determined by your website. 75%. What is it like, right? That's a key aspect. Readability is huge. Is there a lot of jargon on your site? The average reading age today for most Americans is about 6th or 7th grade, unfortunately. Yet the average financial institution website is written at an 11th grade level. That's a big gap. What is the readability of your website? Is it very readable? Are there lots of bullets? Is it scrollable? Is it quick and easy? Right? That's a key point, right? How readable is your site? Conversely, how watchable is your site? You need to look at your website from a watchability standpoint. In other words, video. How much video is on your website? How much video? The huge trend today is people are not reading, they're watching, as I said earlier. So you've got to understand what type of videos are used. There's all kinds of videos you need on your website, right? You can have tutorial videos. You can have testimonial videos, which we highly encourage. For most of our clients who are helping on the marketing side, we are bringing more and more video into it. Maybe a branded video about your credit and why they should do business at your credit. You remember testimonials earlier. Maybe a message from your CEO. But you should have video all over your website. I'm not talking long, lengthy pieces, short, quick, even 10, 15-second videos, maybe 30-second, 45, whatever it might be. But how watchable is your site? Then another huge aspect of your website audit is SEO functionality. How SEO friendly is your site? How SEO friendly is it? You got to be able to determine that, and a website audit will do that. So as you think about that, look at your website. That's a huge aspect of your marketing audit. And that's 4 aspects. I'm going to give you a few more in just a minute, but I'm going to pause here, right, just on this because this one's so important. I want everybody to type in the chat section real quickly. What do you like about your website? Just what do you like about your website right now? What do you like about it? Just do the chat section real quickly. What do you like about your current site? What do you like about your site? What do you like about your current site? Okay. Tim, I love it. Tim says that it's being replaced. Yes, I love it. We're blessed to help you with that. That's great. I love it. Doing a relaunch in July. I love it. Okay, I don't like much about any of the existing one. I'll get another one from Betsy. We're redoing it. Same here from the Caddy. How interesting is it that so many of us are redoing our sites? That's great. That's a good thing, right? I love it. It's very clean looking. Our video tutorials, great, excellent. You got to have those. Excellent. Good stuff. I love that so many of you are redoing your site. Again, honestly, your site probably needs to change about every 3 years because again, so much has changed. You get the idea there. But again, those are just some key quick things to think about. That's a huge aspect, again, of a marketing audit is a website audit. You got to look at your UX, look at your readability, your watchability, and your SEO function. All that should be a part of your full-on marketing audit. A 5th element of your marketing audit, though, also is social media audit, right? And here's something about that. What is your platform of choice? It's fascinating. You cannot be all things to all people, right? Conversely, you cannot be on all social media channels, nor should you be. It's fascinating when we go into do audits for creating, and they'll have they'll have Pinterest, they'll have Twitter, they'll have LinkedIn, they'll have YouTube, and they'll have Instagram. I mean, on TikTok now, I mean, on and on. It's like, whoa, sensory overload here. What's your platform of choice, right? And how many of you, be honest, how many of you still have the little blue bird icon rather than the new X for Twitter, right? Be careful about that. So I'm going to pause here as well. Type in the chat. I'm just curious, what social media platforms are you as a credit union using? Just type in which one are your primary ones? What are your primary ones you're using? Type in the chat section. Let's see. Facebook and IG. Yep. Facebook, okay, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Good. A few on X. Okay. LinkedIn, X and YouTube. Okay. Good, Betsy. Thank you. Yeah. Facebook, 800-pound gorilla. So it seems like the leaders in the house are Facebook and Instagram. A few folks doing YouTube, which is excellent. A few also on LinkedIn. You know, again, here's the key. You don't need to be on every social media channel. You don't. You need to strategically choose which ones you need to be on, right? That's a part of your social media audit. It's just your platform choice as well. When it comes to your social, you need to consider edited versus unedited content, and you want a mix. You want a mix of edited and unedited. Again, edited is you putting up maybe some produced videos and things like that. Unedited is just some raw information, good stuff out there. As you look at it, you've got to be able to look at what do you want edited, what do you want unedited, but all that is a part of your social media. But also sales language, right? You never ever use social to sell. But there are times when every now and then you need to weave in stories about your members who have used your products and services, right? And got a loan that no one else would give them. That's not necessarily a sales tool, but you want to be able to mix in stories and things like that. So you want to emphasize that again. It's about engagement. It's about education on social media. So you got to watch some overt sales language on that as well. A sixth element of your marketing strategy, of your marketing audit also then is your marketing strategy. Strategy is so important. You got to be able to look at it. Let's kind of break the marketing strategy down as well. That means your marketing budget. How much are you spending on marketing? I get that question all the time from CEOs and CFOs from coast to coast. They ask that question, hey, Mark, how much should we spend on marketing? I have a simple 3-word answer. More, much more. Right now, just kidding. But the idea is you really want to know how much are you spending? Are you spending too much? Are you spending too little? Are you spending just right? And conversely, what categories are you spending on that? A good marketing assessment will be able to do that. At our company, we actually have a formula that we use for credit unions to determine what should your ideal marketing audit be, or your marketing budget be, excuse me, your marketing budget. There's several different, probably 15, 16, 17 different factors we look at and plug you in to see, you know, how much you should be spending on marketing. There's multiple factors that go into that answer. And so you've got to be able to look at what is your marketing budget. Huge part of your marketing strategy also is your marketing calendar. But as I said earlier, your marketing calendar is not your marketing plan. So you've got to distinguish those two, but when are you doing it? And then of course, your marketing plan. What are you doing? When are you doing it? Things like that. And the key with your marketing plan, it's got to link to your credit union's overall strategic plan as well. Those have to be linked together. And that's something a marketing audit will look at and say, hey, how closely aligned are those things? But a solid marketing audit will review your marketing strategy to determine, are there things you should be doing differently? Is it working? Is your strategy working? Is your budget right? Is your calendar right? Is your plan right? Or is it just wishful thinking? You know, we tell our clients this all the time. Hope is not a strategy. I hope our loans go up. I hope we can bring in more deposits. I hope this marketing campaign works. Right? That's not a strategy. Hope is not a strategy. You've got to look at your marketing strategy. That's a huge part of a marketing audit. Also, a good marketing strategy will look at your marketing department, right? Do you need additional help? Do you need additional support in your marketing area? Maybe you do. Maybe you're understaffed in marketing, right? You're wearing too many hats. Maybe you need some additional assistance on that. That's something a marketing strategy will look at as well. Also, tactical items. This is where, at the end of the day, after a marketing assessment or audit is complete, you should have a list of 3 to 4 or 5 tactical things that you could do right away. These are things you could implement tomorrow to immediately improve your marketing, whatever those may be. There's all kinds of things, like we said earlier, maybe cut the copy, maybe it's adjust this URL, maybe it's some SEO backlinking, but there's probably some things that tactically you can implement right away to see an immediate lift in your marketing. Those are tactical suggestions, and a good marketing audit, a good marketing assessment will give you 5 to 10 tactical items. Conversely, the final component of a part of a strategic or of a marketing assessment or a marketing audit is strategic action items. Now, here's the difference. Tactical things are things you can implement right away. Strategic action items are longer term in nature, right? That might take a little bit of time. Maybe it is that you need to hire another person in marketing. That's a strategic decision. Maybe you need to change your logo, right? That's somewhat of a strategic and tactical. Maybe you need to rebrand your credit union. That would be an example of a strategic action item. Maybe you need to outsource some of your day-to-day marketing because you're overwhelmed with all the business development activities you're doing. And so you need assistance on that. Those are strategic action items you need. So a good marketing assessment will have a blend of strategic and tactical recommendations. That's a huge part of a marketing audit, or the strategic action items. All right, we're going to move on here real quickly as we wrap up and kind of look now at fourth section today we're going to cover. How do you do this yourself? How do you conduct an effective marketing audit yourself? Now, this is not in your notes. This is not on the PowerPoint. I want to give you just one way to do it. There are lots of marketers here on this call. One way you could do it, you could partner with each other. And you can say, hey, look, I'm going to audit your marketing and your credit union, and you're going to audit mine. So you could kind of do a marketing audit swap, right? Where you swap and look at each other's information back and forth and just give some recommendations and kind of go through the process that we just showed you, do those 8 sections and whatnot, and kind of look at each other. That's one way to do it. It's not to do it yourself, it's do kind of a little swap. That's kind of a little bonus tip in there just to give you. That's one way to do it. Let's break it down a little bit. As you go into this, though, I want to ask an overall arching question just to consider. You absolutely can do the marketing audit yourself. I'm going to show you how in just a minute. The question is, should you? It's can you versus should. So right off the bat, there are, as we said earlier, pros and cons of doing it yourself. So walk through those pros and cons and decide what is best for your credit union. Let's walk through it. What are some things to do it yourself? First of all, one key thing here is you've got to remove some biases. We all have them. Okay, we all have them. So we've got to make sure you do that. Right. I love the quote from Godfather. I mean, hey, it wouldn't be a great webinar. We didn't have a Godfather quote in here. He says, it's not personal, it's business, right? It's not personal, it's business. The challenge sometimes is something that gets personal. You got to just remove your biases out there. You know, be sure if you're doing it yourself, you do get some outside voices. Maybe it's some people at your credit union that aren't in marketing that can give you an outside perspective. Maybe it is a marketing director or VP of marketing at another credit union that can kind of help you see some things, whatever it might be. But as you think about it, you got to remove your own bias. You know, as you're doing it yourself, just again, put your member hat on, right? And what would the member think about your marketing, right? So you've got to remove some biases. We all have them. Make sure you're doing that. If you're doing it yourself, just watch those, check your biases at the door, and make sure you're really focusing on what can make your marketing better. All right. Give yourself some time. This is important. A marketing audit, a marketing assessment, it takes some time. Okay, it takes at least somewhere between 6 to 8 weeks to do a full-on marketing audit or full-on assessment. This is not kind of what's like get it done project, mark it off your to-do list and move on, right? You really want to give yourself plenty of time because you got to do a deeper dive. You saw in going through some of those elements, there's a lot involved in a marketing audit. There's a lot involved, from competitive analysis to looking at your pieces, to examining your website, looking at your copy, your graphics. We didn't even mention this, but one thing you need to do on the graphics is do the logo test. Now, what's the logo test? The logo test is pull up your marketing pieces, right? Cover your logo. And if the logo wasn't there, would I know this piece is from your credit union? Or would it look and sound just like everybody else? That's called the logo test. So you got to give yourself time to do some of those deeper diving tests, like the logo test, the copy, the SEO. It just takes a little while. So make sure you're doing that. One thing you want to do if you're doing the marketing audit yourself, please emphasize the big picture. You know, we joked about, you know, in the opening question, hey, anyone make some typos or some misspelling errors and things like that in the opening question, but I want to be clear. The marketing audit looks at the big picture, not those small typos, right? You're not looking for typos in a marketing audit, okay? You're not. You're looking at the big picture. You're looking at strategy. You're looking to say, what can we do better in marketing, right? You're not looking for Band-Aid solutions here. You're really looking to say, hey, how can we take the next step? Or as we like to say, what can you do to level up your marketing? That needs to be a theme for you. What can we do to level up our marketing? because when you level up your marketing, you level up the entire credit union. So important to do that. Another key aspect of doing the marketing audit yourself is to involve leadership, to involve the leadership team. It's so important. Don't conduct the marketing audit or the marketing assessment in a vacuum. Be sure they're involved. The C-suite executives are so important. Your board's important, right? Because a lot of times your board's approving the budget, right? So we want more marketing dollars. We'll involve them. They don't need to be one auditing, just to be perfectly clear. You don't ever want your board member auditing your marketing. I'm not saying that, but we are saying you want to present the reports, the findings, the good, the bad, and the ugly to them. Share that final report with your leadership team. Get their buy-in, help them to understand that, right? Also, if you're doing the market audit yourself, absolutely end with clear action items. So important to end with clear action items and really make it say, hey, what are we going to do? The next 30 days, the next 60 days, the next 6 months, what are we going to do? Be very, very specific. One of the worst things you can do is do a marketing audit or assessment, put it on a shelf, and never look at it again. Make sure there's some clear action items about what are you going to do in the short term and what are you going to do in the long term. Our clients that have the most success with the marketing audits and marketing assessment, they're the ones who actually implement the findings. That's where they have the greatest result. It's not enough just to do the assessment or do the audit. You've got to do the implementation. Keith Ferrazzi famously says this: follow-up is the key to success in any business. Follow-up is the key to success in any business. A key part of the marketing audit is the follow-up, so put it on there. As you think about that, here's an example, okay? When looking at copy, sometimes our copy is just too technical, right? So maybe one of your action items is to make our copy less technical. Here's an example. So some people say, you need to market to your members like Homer Simpson, not like they're Dr. Spock. Right? Because too many of your members, quite honestly, they're a lot more like Homer Simpson than they are like Dr. Spock. Yet too many times our copy is written to Dr. Spock. All right, we got to change that out there. So here's an example of an action of a credit union that implemented. This is a credit union client of ours in the Maine area. It's Trademark Federal Credit Union. We did their marketing assessment a few years ago. And one of the findings we found, one of the recommendations we had was, hey, we really want you to put more emotion into your marketing. As they were beginning to look at it, they wanted to put more emphasis on their members and more emotion and tell more stories. Now, if you go to their website and you look at how they're doing their marketing, they completely changed. They're doing far more imagery of people and language that is far more member-centric, far more emotional. And they've seen results. So that's an example of a credit union that didn't just listen and find out the assessment results. They actually went in and implemented the findings and results. So I've got a few closing comments in just a minute, but I'm going to pause here, and I want to have some Q&A time. And Mike, do you want to jump in there and kind of guide the Q&A? Anyone have any questions here? And I'm going to have a few closing comments. We're not done yet, but I would like to pause here for a minute and just get any question you guys have before I have a few closing questions and a few closing comments also.
So I actually have a couple questions for you, Mark.
Perfect.
When you were going through, you're talking about the your copy and bringing it down to a level that your members can understand. Does that go for print and video, or do they change because of the way they're received?
Not necessarily, because so many people are watching video now. When they go to reading something, you need to write as you're talking to them. So your copy needs to be far more conversational and far less formal. Even like, what's next? What's up? I mean, you can use some colloquialisms even in your copy now, because your copy needs to be conversational. That answer that question, Mike?
Yes, it did. Absolutely.
Good question. So one question already in the chat from Kimberly is, I'm sorry, is anyone still doing newsletters? That's a great question. I would love everybody else to jump in there. Anyone doing newsletters? Only e-newsletters? I'm seeing a mix across the country. We're seeing some still do it, most are not. They're doing more email oriented. Christy asked, how much time would you say we should allot to doing our own audit, and how often should we conduct a full audit? Okay, I would say if you're doing it yourself, I would give yourself at least 60 days, at least 2 months. Maybe give yourself a little bit more time, because it's often faster if someone from the outside does it. but you probably need to give yourself at least a full quarter, probably some of that 2 to 3 months range if you're doing it yourself. And then how often? I would recommend a full market audit at least every 3 years. Going back to the analogy, things change so much in marketing, so at least every 3 years. The top performing Creightons, that's how they're on a kind of that regular. So every 3 years they do a full-on audit. Okay. And again, you're seeing some comments in there about the newsletter comments, some good answers to that. Would you suggest newsletters also be a bit more informal? No, yes, absolutely. Newsletters can also be, they don't have to be as informal, but they can still be informal. Yes. Now, I will say this on the newsletters, it needs to be, what is your brand as well? You know, is your brand more formal? Then you can be more formal in your communication. So part of that question of informality, though, needs to be your brand. Here's an example. There's one Creighton down in the Houston market that their primary field of members are NASA. So they have a lot of NASA engineers. So in their case, they're a little bit more formal because their field of membership. So part of this is going to be your brand. Part of that's going to be your field of membership. That's why these audits and assessments, they need to be specific to your Creighton. So I'm giving you some broad statements, but you got to be very specific. Hopefully that's answering that question about informality as well. How does a net promoter score fit into the audit process? Good. How often should Creightons be doing an NPS survey? Great question. The NPS does factor into your audit, and you want to make sure you're doing your NPS. I would recommend at least once a year. Some do it quarterly. Some clients are even doing it monthly to kind of do the transactional NPS score. The key aspect with your NPS is it giving you the data that you really need? Because I'm going to be honest with you on NPS. Sometimes your members lie to you. Okay. So that's why the NPS needs to be a part of the audit. Needs to be, how are you doing your NPS? What is your NPS score saying? Are there some deeper level questions you can ask in your NPS that you're not asking? So that would be the answer to that. And hopefully that clarified that, but I'll be glad to answer that even more. Anyone else doing statement inserts and how often? Good question on that. Anyone else that wants to jump into Heather's question? That's a great question from Heather. No. Yeah, good. Good
Mark,
questions are coming. Yeah.
can you speak a little bit about identifying your target audience when you're doing this marketing assessment, your audit? Because like I've judged the Diamond Awards for a number of years, and it's amazing how many people will enter in, you know, what's your target audience? And they literally tell you what their field of membership is every time, rather than what their target audience. And I don't know if people really understand sometimes what that actually means.
Yeah, here's a key concept. When we work with our clients on branding and their rebrands, we have this very simple mantra. It comes from Donald Miller. Niches lead to riches. Niches lead to riches. Your niche is not necessarily your field of membership. So when you're working on the branding side, you need to determine a couple of things. So what are those broad niches that you're really good at serving? How do you describe those niches? What's a descriptor? Well, young families. Well, that's well specific. Can you describe what you mean by young families as an example? And put in there maybe some demographic information. You might want to put in some age information, what they're feeling, what's important, what are their pain points. But then also as a part of your target audit, your new niches, you need to know what is your messaging to them? What are some key messages to them that's going to resonate more with that niche than another niche? So you absolutely have to niche down. It's not your field of membership. You know, our niche is the community. No, let's get it more specific. Here's our young, we want to reach young, our you know, millennials. That's pretty broad. There's like 4 or 5 subsets of millennials. So you need to sub niche that as well. That answer that question?
It does. I think it's very important people hear that too. Thank you.
Yeah, good. All right, I'm going to ask another question. I'm going to have a couple of closing comments. I want to ask one last question here that we'll use in the chat section as well. And that is, what'd you learn today? Take a minute. Just type in the chat section. What are you walking away with? What did you learn today? Take a minute and type in the chat section. What did you learn today? Take a few minutes and write those in. I'm going to have a couple of closing comments. What did you learn today? We hopefully all learned something. Take a minute, type in there. Pause here for a minute, go back to the chat section. Just type in there, what did you learn today? Guidelines audit internally with our team. Excellent, very good, Betsy. It's a good takeaway. The broad aspect of what's involved, good. It's a good takeaway, Mike. Thanks. What did you learn today? Do the caveman test. Yes, do the caveman test. I love it. Niches lead to riches. What a great concept. Good. Audit our website, extremely important. Yep, and the user experience. Good takeaways. Awesome. Very, very good. Glad you guys are learning something, right? You take 1 or 2 takeaways. It's been a successful time together. All right, as we wrap up, a couple of last minute closing comments. This conversation on marketing assessment and marketing doesn't end today. Let's connect. Let's continue to stay in touch. Lots of ways to stay in touch. You can email me directly at mark@markarnold.com. If we're not already connected on LinkedIn, I'd love to connect with you on LinkedIn. You can follow me there at jmarkarnold. It's my LinkedIn handle. We have lots of information on our website. Also, we're doing 2 bonuses for you in honor of the Maine Credit Union League today. If you sign up for our free e-newsletter, we have a newsletter that goes out once a week to credit union marketers all across the country. It's just short, quick tips, tactics on strategies and trends, what's working in marketing. If you want us to email me at mark@markarnold.com, we will send you and sign you up for that free e-newsletter. We'll also send you a bonus, 3 things you didn't know your marketing was missing. So if you would like that, also, if you would like the PowerPoint and a PDF document of the slides, shoot that to me as well. So just email me, hey, Mark, I want the newsletter, I want the free download, and I want the slides. Just shoot that to me in email, and we'll get all that information back over to you. We're also offering a bonus to you if you want to do an external audit or assessment. You can absolutely do it yourself. If you want someone from the outside to look at it, if you schedule a call with us by July 1, we'll give you a 20% discount on doing a marketing assessment. So as we wrap up, I'm going to take it off the screen share there. One last little comment, and it's a quote from George Bernard Shaw. And he says, my tailor knows me best because he measures me frequently. Well, the point of that is this: we need to measure our marketing on a frequent basis as well, which means we need to do a marketing assessment, whether it's internal, external. You need to be looking at your marketing on a regular basis. You need to assess it. And hopefully after this session today, you have a few good ideas about how to do so. Thank you so much for your time. I'll toss it back to Mike to have some closing comments. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Mark. Really appreciate this. I got to tell you that your weekly newsletter, I absolutely love, especially the one that came out right around May 4th with the tie-in to Star Wars.
Thank you so much. Yeah, you can Star Wars geek and nerd here. So yes, yeah, we had to have one on that. So I'm glad you like that. Thank you guys so much.
Appreciate that. All right, so thank you very much, everybody, for joining us today. Just a couple notes. We have 2 more workshops scheduled for this year. One was rescheduled from earlier in the year. So our next one coming up is in September. It'll be on the 12th from noon to 1. It'll be another virtual workshop like this. The presenter will be Diane Reed, and she'll be talking, take a look at the ways we currently design products and turn on our heads. It's called product design from a personalized marketing perspective. Instead of fitting members to our products, it's about how we can fit our products to our members' needs. And then in October is our reschedule that we had to cancel back in April because of the weather, and that's going to be our in-person workshop. That'll be on October 1st. And our 3 speakers for that day will be Janika Pouliot, who will be discussing local SEO, Nancy Harhut, which she'll be discussing what drives member behavior, and Rich Brooks will be giving us a hands-on instruction on how to use AI tools. He'll actually show you how to use some of the latest tools out there, ChatGPT, and a couple of the other ones that are out there. So we recommend bringing your laptop to that. If you registered for that back in April, please go back and register again because that whole thing was canceled and set aside. So please re-register for that event. Information and registration for both of these events can be found on the Maine Credit Union League's website and our event calendar. And I will also be sending along an email to everybody again as we get closer to the dates, about a month out from each one. And that's all we have for today. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you so much, Mark, for your time today. We really appreciated it.
Thank you, guys.
Hopefully everyone has a great rest of the week.